Hey there everybody, and welcome back to HMF Live. I am back, the show is back. Happy August. I hope you guys had a great month of July. I certainly did. It was a busy one for sure, as I'm sure if you're following this page, you probably still saw kind of traveling all over coast to coast and it seemed like everywhere in between. So thank you so much for staying patient, bearing with me while HMF Live was on a hiatus. But as you well know too, HMF the page was still up and running. So welcome back. Welcome me back. As you probably saw maybe in last week's episode, or not episode, I'm sorry, last week's video, one of our videos where Gary and I got on here and talked about some changes that are happening with Hustle to Muscle Fitness. So the format for this show is also changing a little bit. It's still going to be Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it's still going to be about 20-30 minutes. But the difference this time is that we are going to have a little bit more structure to the show. So we're going to usually start the month off with a topic around women's health or women's issues. And then we will follow it up most likely. Gary will have a topic on here for the fellas. So husband or wives, you might want to have your ladies, you might want to have your husbands, boyfriends, partners, that sort of thing. Tune in on those nights that he does his show. And then we'll have a week where we will talk about just nutrition, which is sort of general for everybody. And then we will have a week where we do an episode on healthy relationships. And that will probably be both of us getting on here and talking about a specific topic. So that's kind of how you will see HMF Live changing. So there will be weeks where I do it solo, like today. There will be weeks where Gary does it solo. And then there will be weeks where we both come on here and share some value, some information with you. So anyway, to get into tonight's topic, since we're kicking off with August with women's issues, women's health, tonight we're going to talk about PCOS, which, if you don't know what that is, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, this is a particular issue that only affects women because women are the only ones with ovaries, but the effects or the ways that it impacts women can also impact, men, families, people that are, that have partners and people in their families. So it's very good, not just for women to know, but also for people in their families, their relatives, their husbands, partners, anything like that. Now, I will say personally, I don't have PCOS. However, in my work and my coaching with a lot of my clients, I do have quite a few women who have PCOS and struggle with weight loss and struggle with all of the different things that come along with that. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what PCOS is, what it can look like in a woman, and how it can be different in lots of women, and then what are maybe some tips. We're just really going to scratch the surface, honestly. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to dig into it a little bit deeper, and then I will also refer you to some resources where I got a lot of my information, and it's one of my go-to resources for just general topics on health and nutrition. So hey Faye, I am a fellow PCOSer. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing a little bit. Some women have no problem talking about it, and some women do. So as I said, I personally don't experience it, but I have clients who do, and I definitely sympathize, because one of the things that we'll get into a little bit more here in a second is how easy it is to gain weight, how hard it is to lose weight. And I mean, even for a person without PCOS or health issues, losing weight can be a challenge. So imagine the additional struggle. So thanks for tuning in. Let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I told you what PCOS stands for, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It actually affects somewhere between 5 to 20% of women of childbearing age. So that's basically it can start in your teens all the way up until probably even let's say 50, 55 before you hit menopause. That's kind of I know that's on the older scale, but that is your childbearing age range. And so 5 to 20% of the female population, it doesn't sound like a lot in those numbers, but if you think about how many women there are and then take 20% of that, it's a lot of women. So it can cause infertility. So this is where it starts to impact families, because if a, you know, husband and wife want to start a family and she has PCOS, she might be experiencing a hard time conceiving, if she can at all, because of that. And I've, you know, I have talked to quite a few women who were told that they weren't going to be able to have kids, or the chances were very low. And, you know, fortunately they were able to do some things, or, you know, maybe just luck on their side, and they were still able to conceive, and they now have a couple of kids. But that's not always the case. So it can be very heartbreaking in a lot of cases for families. And the other thing is, about 50%, this was a stat I shared earlier before the show, about 50% of women don't even know they have PCOS, because it could go undiagnosed for so long. You just experience all these different kinds of ailments and side effects of PCOS and not even know that that's actually what you have. So let's talk a little bit about some of the symptoms that are pretty common, not necessarily across the board. Like, not all women experience all of these. Some might be all of them, some might be just a few. One of the biggest ones, though, is you gain weight, and you gain weight easily. And like I said earlier, it can be challenging to lose weight, and we'll get into some of those tips here in a little bit. Acne, unfortunately, acne can be another issue. Even if you feel like, I've already gone through puberty, why is this happening? It's because the hormones are out of whack, and that's really what happens with PCOS. You can experience thinning of your head hair, which is called alopecia. And at the same time, sadly, you can experience excess body hair. So on your face, even on your chest, your back, your arms, your legs, like basically all the places you don't want it. It's leaving up here and it's coming out down here. And I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, we could make light of it if we want to, but just frustrating. It would be very, very frustrating. So, hey Heather, I have PCOS also. Oh, okay, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. Some of these things might be things that, and Faye as well, things that you both experience. You might even have ones that didn't make this list. So excess body hair, and then also another big one, irregular menstrual cycles. So sometimes you may go months without a period. Sometimes you may not be able to get your periods to stop. It might feel like it's going on for months. Your flow can change, and your period, your PMS and during your cycle can be extremely painful as well, and cause a lot of energy issues. You just feel fatigued. We'll get into food cravings in a minute, but that's another issue too. So what exactly are the ovarian cysts? Like, why is this polycystic ovarian syndrome? So basically, think of cysts like little zits or little pimples, but these are they form on the inside of your ovaries. So if you think about how painful a zit can be on your face, or a pimple can be on your face, imagine that in some of your internal organs. And those cysts can break open, just like your zits, your pimples can. And again, as painful as that is here, it can be very, very painful for women when that breaks open inside the ovary. And some cases, women have to, if maybe not all, I don't know, have to go to the hospital to get that taken care of. They can have multiple cysts. Some women may not have any, even though they have PCOS. That's not necessarily like a signature mark of having it. You may not have cysts. Some women may have a ton. So some women may not even have cysts on their ovaries. Some may have some, just a couple. And then it can get to the point where if they have cysts, or a lot of cysts, and they continuously are breaking open and causing issues, there can be cases where medically they require that they need to go in and take out the ovaries, because it's just causing too much, either too much problem or the potential of too much damage. So there's a strong connection from PCOS to insulin resistance. Now, it's not 100% of the time that every woman with PCOS has it, but let's see, it also causes cysts or boils under your skin in other parts of your body. That's I don't know what's worse, but again, another symptom that, like I said, I didn't get them all on the list, but that would be another one that's extremely painful, especially depending on where the part of your body is. Okay, so connection to insulin resistance and sugar and processed foods, there's definitely a strong correlation with PCOS. Basically when our cells, so getting down to the cellular level of our body, when our cells are insulin resistant and then we eat too much processed sugar or processed carbs, too much sugar, our pancreas makes more glucose than our cells are able to actually absorb and then use. So what happens is then the cell kind of gets blocked by too much insulin, and so the excess glucose just ends up being stored in the body as more body fat. And so that's where a lot of the excess weight gain, or the rapid weight gain, and the slow weight loss really comes into play. And so we're really going to talk a little bit about food here and how that can help you heal your body. It's basically, with insulin resistance and even with PCOS, it's basically a defect in your insulin signaling pathway. So in a person without PCOS, your body kind of knows, like, you work with your brain, and your pancreas and things like that to put out glucose when you need it, when you need the insulin to level your sugar or blood sugar levels. And this is kind of a side note here, but for a person without PCOS who constantly eats too much sugar, too much processed carbs, too many unhealthy foods, fried foods, all that kind of stuff, that's why a person can develop type 2 diabetes. And there's a connection there as well, because again, you're making your body produce more insulin than it's able to process, and when it gets all backed up, then your body goes into type 2 diabetes. So that's why, again, food is such a powerful element in healing your body. Okay, so to reverse the insulin resistance and to reverse some of the other PCOS systems, food is so critical. And so as I just mentioned, insulin resistance can lead to type 2 diabetes, whether or not you have PCOS. Again, it comes down to diet is key. So, how do you think about how much sugar and how much processed carbs are you taking in? And from where? Sugar gets snuck in to so many different foods and in so many different ways. So, for instance, I know a lot of people who say that they work out and then they replenish their body with something like Gatorade. Well, did you know that Gatorade actually has 9 teaspoons of sugar in it? I mean, that's about, if not a little, just slightly less than a can of soda. So you're really just drinking sugar water with some artificial chemicals, flavors, and stuff like that. So, maybe think twice about that Gatorade, especially while it's hot out. Just stick to good old-fashioned water. It does the trick. Another thing that I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I had some yogurt, and I had a granola bar or whatnot. Okay, again, there's lots of sugar in a lot of different granola bars, like 7 teaspoons of sugar in one granola bar. So you really have to be careful. Are you eating something healthy? Or are you just eating a fancy covered cookie or a piece of candy? Okay, so PCOS, here we're going to start getting into more of the biomechanics of PCOS and insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes. All of those things can lead to more hunger and more cravings, especially cravings for sugar and processed carbs. So you may find that if you're insulin resistant, or if you have, type 2 diabetes, or maybe even PCOS and you've got some of these other things going on, you might find that you're just hungry all the time. And a lot of the times you find that you want these carbs, you want these sugar, all these sweets. There's a couple of things going on. First of all, sugar is very addictive. So it's one of those things where the further that you get away from it and get it out of your system, the less you crave it, 1. But 2, with these other issues that cause more complications, there's more of a biochemical reaction happening. It's not just that you don't lack willpower, but it's that, again, it's a problem with the blood sugar. It's not balanced. And so when those things sort of happen, it impacts all kinds of other hormones. And there are certain hormones, and actually insulin is a hormone that regulates a lot of stuff in our body. So when those things are out of whack, then your body's like, I just want to eat all the time. I want carbs and I want sweets, and why do I want sugar? And it's easy for others to just pass judgment and say, well, God, you've got no willpower. Like, why can't you just put down the cookie? So while I'm not giving you an excuse to just say, well, I've got to eat all the time because it's my body and that's what it's doing. No, what I'm saying is that there is a reason that it's happening beyond just your, I can't control myself. So it's not necessarily just a willpower issue. Okay, but here's the thing. When you start to eat more of the right foods, so like really high quality proteins, you know, fish, chicken, turkey, you know, like even organic grass-fed stuff, you know, lean beef, those kinds of things. When you start to eat more of the right foods, vegetables, healthy fats, then you can start to lose weight, and you can start to control those cravings and have less insulin resistance. And it's a happy little system, like a combination that all works really well together. It takes time to heal your body, but it is possible. So I want you to take, especially if you have PCOS, I want you to take some hope from this, that nutrition is going to be the key for you far more than any of even probably the meds that are out there. You know, I heard one story of a nutritionist who has PCOS, and her doctor told her, like, you know, when you're ready to have a family, come back in and I can give you a pill to make your body do this. Well, one, I mean, like, that just doesn't sound natural. Like, do a little bit of the hard work to get your body into the mode of healing itself, and then you'll be able to start getting more of the things that you want out of life and out of your health. So, good quality proteins, variety of veggies, you know, especially some of your green leafy veggies. There's all kinds of great ones out there. Healthy fats, so avocado, like organic grass-fed sourced, you know, even a little bit of butter, like the canned coconut milk. You know, you can even get stuff with full fat and use that in moderation. Nuts, you know, things like olive oil, you know, fish oil, omega-3s, omega-7s. I mean, all that kind of great stuff. Cashews, macadamia nuts, almonds, those kinds of things. So there's all kinds of great healthy fats out there. And healthy fats in a combination with your great proteins and your variety of veggies is going to really help your body start to get things under control and help you start to feel a little more, you know, normal, more healthy again. And this will help to also level out your blood sugars. That's what's going to help bring down the cravings for all the crazy sugar and carbs and processed foods. And then also, side benefit, it's going to increase your energy. Bonus. Okay, now there are some other causes to PCOS. Food sensitivities, or insulin resistance too. Food sensitivities like gluten or dairy. If you eat things that your body doesn't like to process, you're going to cause a lot of inflammation in your body. Exposure to toxic chemicals, you know, could be through pesticides, it could be through just other things in the environment, the air, things like that. Toxic chemicals can actually create an excess amount of estrogen in our bodies, and that leads to all kinds of other issues. Because even as women, yes, we are more estrogen than we are testosterone, but even we cannot have too much estrogen. Just like men cannot have too much testosterone, it creates issues. So, a couple of tips to sort of help you start to turn things around, start to change your mindset around it. Let's see where we're at for time. Oh, we're good. Okay. So a couple of things. First of all, you know, before you give into like whatever that processed food is, whatever, maybe that donut or whatever it is, before you do that, stop and visualize how what you're about to put into your mouth is going to impact your body, is going to impact your PCOS, or is going to impact your insulin resistance. So, for instance, think about, okay, visualize when I eat this cookie, visualize the swelling of a cyst, like a balloon filling with air. You know, this cookie is going to do this, you know, and visualize that. And I bet that if you do that enough, it will make you stop. It'll make you pause, might even make you put that cookie back, you know, think twice about what you're going to eat. Is it worth all of the pain or the discomfort or the agony or whatever that it's going to cause? Secondly, keep a food journal. Now, not just counting calories, because, you know, it's not about calories in, calories out. It's about the quality of the calories. What are you eating? So keep a food journal, write down what you eat in even amounts, and then also record how does it make you feel. And you might start to eliminate foods because you notice a pattern. Oh, when I eat cheese, this happens. When I eat this muffin, this happens, or whatever. When I eat this, I feel great. Or when I do this, I get an energy boost. So go more in depth in your food journaling. You know, if you're trying to be on this sort of discovery, exploration of one, which is you trying to find out what's best for your body, you know, do some journaling, doing kind of some research on yourself. When I eat this, what happens? Do I feel good? Do I feel bad? Is it really bad? Is it really good? You know, how much did I eat? What time of the day? You know, and you'll start noticing patterns. And then of course, you know, just like I said, picking the right types of foods. So really great proteins, a variety of vegetables, healthy fats, and then you do that on a regular basis, consistently, you know. And I'm not saying you're going to be perfect, because Lord knows none of us are, but do your best to always fuel your body and treat your body like you give a damn about it. I mean, it's a frustrating condition, I have no doubt, but it's up to you. You have the power to make yourself feel better. Not all of the answers lie in your doctor's office. A lot of them lie in your very kitchen. So I hope this is helpful. Some of you might have already known this information, but I just wanted to reaffirm to you that there is still hope. You can still heal your body. It just takes work and it takes time. And if you need help with coming up with the plan, with getting on something, getting on a program, a plan to help you eat the right way, to get that extra support or accountability to help, just keep checking in. And somebody that you need to keep, like, what about this and how does this do, and asking questions and bouncing ideas off, send me a message. I don't have PCOS, but I do have experience working with clients who do have PCOS, and I consider myself to be a lifelong learner, and I'm constantly learning more about different health and fitness issues, topics, conditions like PCOS. One of my first clients said I had this, I went on a crazy journey, a crazy like study session of learning more about PCOS, what it is, what it does, how can I help her through it. So I would be happy to do the same for you. So as you know, 20 minutes is usually my mark, and I want to make sure that I honor your time as well. I appreciate you tuning in and watching this. I would love for you to share this episode or tag any of your, you know, your fellow girlfriends, mothers, wives, sisters, anybody that you know that might be suffering from this, that might need a little extra help or encouragement, or maybe people that you would like to just be more in the know. Maybe it's a video you can send to your husband and say, hey, watch this. This will help you understand a little bit more about what I'm going through. So I would appreciate that, and I hope that this helps. And as always, I will leave you with this. If there are other topics that you would like to be addressed, whether it's men's health, women's health, nutrition, like I said, relationships, those are kind of the main themes that we're going to be hitting. Leave us a message, leave us a comment, and we will be sure to get those in a future episode. So thanks so much for watching. I love you guys, and I appreciate your time, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.